You know, whenever the topic of girls or dating comes up with friends, I always joke about how I'm going to stay single forever and stay abstinent for a long time. And then I'll realize that I'm actually not even joking. Because a while back ago, I realized that the trade-off just isn't worth it, for me personally. If you take into account the dating market, hypergamy, how it's getting harder for average guys with the advent of online dating and social media, the way it's globalized the dating market, how it's made women more hypergamist, how it's falsified their perception of what's real and attractive, I could go on and on, you guys know this. But investing your time and energy and attention and resources into finding a partner as a young guy especially, like in your early or mid 20s, it's most likely going to be a low ROI activity. I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible, right? I'm saying that it's highly unlikely to find that person, to find that relationship that's going to work out in the long run. Because I know people that look around and see their friends in relationships and think the issue of single, lonely guys in the dating market is exaggerated. But that's because all their friends date people within their friend circles or people they met in school or college, etc. The reality is most guys, most people, right, they graduate school, they graduate college, they go into the workforce, and they're extremely alone. They don't really know how to meet new people, and this is the case for a lot of adults. Like, the one thing that goes away after you graduate is that your means of making new friends significantly diminishes. You know, you're not really in social environments anymore. You kind of have to put yourself out there in uncomfortable situations. The people that you know are just your coworkers that you hate. And also, not to mention, getting in the wrong relationship can be extremely detrimental, especially when you're young. Because bro, so many people underestimate the time, energy, attention, resources that go into maintaining a long-term relationship. And when you're not established in life, which you most likely aren't going to be if you're young, you're going to need all of those things. Here's a tip, right? A clear sign or indicator of when to break things off is when that relationship is no longer adding to your life, rather it's taking away from it. You know, you start getting stressed or anxious all the time, you start feeling like spending time with this person feels like a chore. It's like you get home from work and you're tired and you're somehow arguing about some BS for like 3-4 hours straight on FaceTime. And you got to think about how this stuff compounds over a long period of time, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Like, think about the amount of time, energy, resources that you invest, and one day it's just all gone. And ultimately, that relationship became a net negative to your life. And you might think it's just a few dates here and there, but being in a relationship, it softens you as well, especially as a guy. You know, you naturally take your foot off the gas because one of your main motivators in life, it's already there. It's next to you every night. You know, you guys are binge watching shows, having sex, cuddling, ordering takeout. You naturally then just start becoming softer. And it's not like that's always a bad thing, right? When you get older, when you become a family man or whatever, you should be a little softer, right? But bro, when you're young, you gotta stay hard. You need that edge when you're young. Like me against the world type of energy. Obviously, as you get older, you shouldn't have that mindset, but it's necessary when you're young, when you're building yourself, when you're trying to pursue your goals, dreams, aspirations. But it takes a lot, and if she's not the one, if you guys break up, then you just wasted a lot of time. And yeah, of course, there are some things you can learn from a relationship, even if it doesn't work out, right? It can make you a better person, etc, etc, etc. But ultimately, it leaves you wondering if it was worth it. And this was something that I had to think about afterwards. You know, 2 long-term relationships, so much time, attention, energy, resources, you know, even attention just chasing girls, right? Trying to get a girlfriend. You know, I can't help but think where all of that energy could have gone. That's why I honestly envy those people that were like specialists at something when they grew up. You know, maybe their parents put them in music class, they developed a passion for playing the piano or guitar and they became a musician. Or kind of like how athletes start when they're very young, you know, boxers start at the age of 6, 7, 8 years old. You know, I'm kind of envious of those people that grew up as specialists at something. You know, not just going to school, coming home and playing with toys or whatever. Because they have such a massive head start because they found their passion or whatever that thing is that they want to do when they're older, when they're very young. You know, they invested so much directed focus into this one goal, which is why they become so great at what they do. And then you kind of compare that upbringing with someone that just, you know, kind of went to school, came back, you know, got into relationships, didn't work out. Like, bro, those people that were focused from a young age, they have a massive head start. And I'll sometimes reflect on that and I'm a bit envious because I'm like, damn, I wonder what I would have been doing if I didn't invest, if I didn't chase girls at such a young age. Like, even though that's a part of growing up, right? Just getting into long-term relationships when you're young just isn't a smart thing to do. That's why if you do get into a relationship early, you better make sure that she's the one. Because you're going to have to give a lot. And if it doesn't work out, you've given a lot for essentially nothing. It's like, think about the amount of people that actually end up with their high school sweetheart. I've only known one person, maybe 2 or soon to be 2. But you know, man, I do have some regrets, you know, even though you can't turn back the hands of time. And bro, that's why now I'm extremely cautious. And for me personally, I'm like 99% sure that I'm gonna stay single for at least the rest of my 20s and even early 30s before I really try to settle down or look for love. You know, your boy got a lot of things he's gotta do. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I'm still gonna go on dates here and there. I'm still gonna interact with women, of course. But 99% sure that I'm not taking anyone serious. It's also low-key why I can't let girls know about the channel. But this isn't uncommon, right? A lot of guys have chosen this route as well. Again, it's not impossible, right? You can make it work. It's just not a high ROI activity. And I think that's the best approach for me personally because I want the most leverage, right? When I become the best version of myself, I want to have the options to pick. I'm just being honest. It's funny because I used to think that every relationship is going to have arguments and, you know, you're just going to have to combat with your wife here and there, right? But honestly, the older I get, the more I dissociate with that kind of mentality. Like on some real shit, I want to dictate the terms. Yeah, of course we can dispute here and there about like small things, but ultimately, you know, the major decisions, family dynamic is going to be up to me. Like that's what's going to yield the best results for the family dynamic that I want. Now, I'll be honest, right? It's not like, I'm not going to draw a false narrative. It's not like I haven't had opportunities. Not saying that I had a lot, but I had some opportunities, right? And I'm not saying that to put myself up. I'm saying that because it can be very easy for me to just grift and lie and try to be relatable right now. You know, and say that they all suck, I'm trying my hardest, but these girls, etc, etc, etc. Like I've had opportunities here and there while I was dating. But here's the caveat, right? And the main point that I want to make. And I've said this before, but none of these girls, and probably a bit due to my geographical location, you know, pretty liberal city, but none of them had qualities that would actually make a good long-term partner. Not even a single one that raised my eyebrow. And you might think, well, okay, what if that's just your standards? Trust me, it's not, okay? That is far from the case. Actually, I'll tell you guys my standards, even though, you know, you guys are mostly, if not all dudes. Pause. If she's relatively cute, you know, relatively pretty, let's say a 6, right? If she's nice, if she's down to earth, if she wants to be a mom, she loves kids, she's caring, she's not combative, and as long as she's loyal, that's a wifey right there. And I'm sure you guys are going to relate to this. I don't need her to be successful, smart, ambitious, hardworking, funny, charismatic, confident. You know, none of what women require of us. But a lot of these girls, again, maybe my geographical location, but they're definitely not that. And again, there are good girls out there, right? Always got to preface with that. You know, I'll never be the guy to say that they all suck, they're all bad, but you know, just becoming more few and far in between. But nowadays, it's like they all worship social media, they worship celebrities. Actually, quick story, I was sharing playlists with this girl that I was on a date with, right? And she was playing all these artists that I had no idea who they are. It was like Lana Del Rey or like Sabrina Carpenter, you know, that kind of music. And she was really into pop culture the entire time, saying this celebrity should have won the Grammys. And she was astounded by how little I knew about pop culture or celebrities in general. And bro, I swear I was getting a headache from the conversation. Like I was just thinking the entire time, this is such a low IQ conversation. Like, is this what you think about in your free time? Like celebrity nonsense and this person should have won a Grammy and this person's dating that person? Like, bro, I just listen to music because it sounds good. I'm still gonna listen to Drake, I'm still gonna listen to Kendrick. Like, I don't care. I don't care about celebrities or their lives. Now maybe this is just me, but I check out of these conversations so easily now. Like bro, I'm literally incapable of texting a girl if it isn't to line up a date. Like I don't want to talk. It's like painful to send text messages. Like bro, it's so uninteresting. And they're combative, they're entitled, very entitled because of social media. You know, they worship attention and validation, they drink, they pop pills, they go to the clubs, they want to have their cake and eat it, they want to be treated like queens without acting like one. And again, not all, right? You know, Western culture, whatever. And also, so many of them are promiscuous. Actually, now that I think about it, I've not went on a single date that I've been on, and I've been on a lot, trust me. It's funny, this is actually a realization or epiphany that I'm having right now. That's right, epiphany. I'm breaking out the SAT vocab unit 14 on this one. But listen, I consider myself a pretty optimistic guy, right? More realistic than optimistic, but I'll always believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But if there's one thing that's going to depress you once you start getting in the game, is realizing how many of them are out here. Like how many girls be hooking up one night stands, like they're really out here. I'm not exaggerating. Even ones you might not initially think are promiscuous. That's another major reason why I'm staying single for now. Like bro, it's crazy out here. Not a single one that hasn't hooked up or had a one night stand before. And listen, a lot of guys get hung up on body count, like bro, you're not marrying a virgin, okay? You gotta drop that. It's most likely 99% not happening, bro. A virgin that's in her early to mid 20s nowadays might as well be a shiny Rayquaza. Like, I'm personally not gonna die on that hill. Some guys have a weird obsession with that, like virgins. But for me, it's like, if the only guys she's been with were previous boyfriends or guys she was in a relationship with and she has wife qualities, then that's completely fine. But I'm actually just realizing that not one girl that I've been on a date with hasn't had a hookup or a one night stand. And there's also a good chance that you're never gonna know, you know? Some might not count the ones, you know, when they travel, when they go overseas. You know, when they travel, when they go to Thailand and pretend to go find themselves, and meanwhile they're getting smashed by some fake spiritual crystal having white dude with a bad tan in Thailand. Or a girl's trip to LA, Miami, or Vegas, you know, some guy that they went home with from the bar or the club, etc. You'll most likely never know, like, they're out here. But it's like, I don't think my standard is unreasonable when it comes to wanting a girl that hasn't hooked up or had one night stands. Like, as long as the guys she's been with were previous boyfriends or relationships, it's fine, right? I feel like that's a pretty reasonable standard, but even that now is like a diamond in the rough. Even if we put all that aside, right? Let's say you do find one that's wifey. Chances are, if you're a young guy, like, bro, you got a lot of competition. And I'll tell you how I know this. What I described is probably exactly what you want as well. So what does that mean? That means we got a conflict of interest. It's you against me, so I guess we're in competition as well. Nah, I'm just playing. But what I'm saying is that those qualities that would make a good wife are few and far in between. Because even if you find her, your competition is high thanks to, you know, social media. And her ego is going to be most likely as well. Again, not all, but, you know, most likely. And when it comes to the way social media has affected the dating market, every guy says the same thing. It's because now your competition can be across the country, right? But what almost nobody says, or not that I've heard of at least, is the even bigger problem with how social media affected the dating market is that it's affected their perception of what's real. Because the reality is that 95% of social media is fake. People post what they want people to see. People post what they want people to think of them. It's essentially a highlight reel of everybody's lives and relationships. Just perfectly curated avatars of what you want people to see. So think about this, right? When every day a girl is scrolling Instagram, right? And that's another thing, right? Try to find a girl without Instagram, without social media. Good luck with that. Naturally, there becomes a generation of girls and even, you know, people in general, you know, that worship social media, which then leads you to worship attention and validation, which is a whole nother topic. If you're constantly scrolling social media and constantly seeing highlights of everybody's lives, whether it's a perfect relationship post, a guy that's dating his girl and taking her on this perfect date, maybe it's an extremely attractive guy that's, you know, has a perfect face or a perfect body that's been curated by the algorithm. You know, maybe she had a blue check mark slide in her DMs, like whatever the case is. It's warping their perception of not only what's real, but also of what's attractive. The reality is that it's very unlikely that a girl that grew up with social media, you know, checking her Instagram every single morning, it's very unlikely that having your perception of what's real and attractive warped by social media, you're then going to look at the guy working a 9-to-5 at Home Depot, you know, driving a 2002 Toyota Corolla and look at him as a viable option. Like guys in their real life that they walk by on a day-to-day basis, they no longer cut it anymore. You know, they're watching Love is Blind or Love Island or some crap or whatever dating reality show that they watch on Netflix. What you see through a screen is not reality, and they conflate this with reality most of the times. So then you no longer know what's real anymore. And if you don't believe me, right, think about this. Nobody's physique about how they look on Instagram or what they post is ever what they look like in real life. And that's a fact. You know, maybe it was you after a really good pump, you know, certain angles or certain positions where you're flexing or whatever, right? It's not reality. It's hardly how people really look in real life. But think about if this is what you're looking at every single day, whether you wake up in the morning, whether you're scrolling in class, whether, you know, you're in between bathroom breaks while you're at work. They're seeing this every single day, and women love social media, right? Their idea of what's real and attractive isn't based in reality. And it's not just aesthetics either, it's lifestyle as well. They're looking at people's lifestyles, highlights every single day. But even all that being said, let's try to put that all aside, right? Let's say by some chance you do manage to get your dream girl. Listen, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in a 50-50 relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship where going back and forth with her is the norm. Like, yeah, we can dispute here and there on small things, but ultimately I'm going to be the decision maker. I'm going to be the leader. So until then, it's like I got to build myself. I got to mold myself into the best version of myself and kind of be that guy that my future wife is looking for. You know, strong, successful, intelligent, charismatic, etc., etc., etc. Now, I'm not going to close it off completely, like just in case she does come along, but probably highly unlikely. I could go on and on, but yeah, that's generally why I've chosen to stay single. or why I'm not taking any girl serious, which is also why I, can't ever tell any girl about this channel. Nah, I'm playing, but again, I don't want to make it seem like all doom and gloom. I'm not saying that it's impossible, right? I'm just saying it's highly unlikely. They're just more few and far in between. And again, I'm talking about America, right? Western culture. But realistically, no young guy is becoming a passport bro. Like no 23, 24-year-old is flying to Thailand or something to find their wife. Ultimately, make the decision for yourself. See what's worth it. Look at the trade-off. Look at the opportunity cost, what you're giving up. Because if she's right for you, she's right for you, right? Don't deny yourself of a good relationship. It's just something to be extremely mindful of when you're coming up. Because again, I can definitely say I wasted a lot of time, energy, attention, and resources on girls when I was young. And I'm so jealous of the people that had that directed focus on their goal, their purpose, their ambitions, whatever. Just try to remember, a bad relationship can be extremely detrimental when you're young. If she ends up being the one, that could be a great thing. But if she's not, that's tough. Anyways, hopefully you guys got something from this. Thank you for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. With that said, make sure you stay true. And I'll talk to you real soon. Peace.